But it's okay. I'll just I have to live without designing my game at the same time. Try to save time. But my wife, she ordered me some tea. Isn't that nice?
What kind of tea you got?
I don't know, mango tea. Good. Um, you know what's nice about it, because normally she doesn't do anything with technology, and
Mm,
so I usually have to do all that stuff, like even ordering food. And she's like, he's teaching, and I don't want to bother him. So she finally learned how to do it, and I think now I've awakened the dragon. Anyway, actually, I'll do a different take on this piece. Q&A time, guys. If you guys have questions about life and what it is to be an artist, I'm more than happy to help you guys out.
I've got a question. There's also one in the chat too.
Ooh, I don't count the ones in the chat, so you get to go first.
I tried to answer the one in the chat for you.
Thank you. What was your question? And I'll look at the chat.
So mine could be a short one. What are your thoughts on when to work like fast and slow? Like, because there's loose and gestural for gesture drawing, and then there's also, I've read Alla Prima, so there's like focusing and making the correct mark the first time.
Sure.
Do you think, like, as someone who's still developing, you should practice them like separately? Like maybe at a certain point in time, you slow down to make the correct marks? Or do you think just try and, find your working speed and use that both when working gesturally and when doing like final painting?
Yeah, so the answer to this question, it's really up to you. And I'll tell you kind of the fundamentals of why I think this way. I think you might already understand. You've been a student of mine for a while. I think you can understand where I'll be coming from. But to me, I focus less on what I think I should do, right? I focus on what I need to do. Okay. Right. And the difference is that when you think about what you should do, you're like, I want to be a good artist. Should I be worried about my strokes, or should I worry about my speed or gestureness? Like, you know what I mean? Like you start thinking about like what it takes to be a good artist, right? And what's important to be a good artist versus what you need to do, meaning that like I want to be a concept artist in the industry, right? And I want to work at said studio, and said studio demands said quality. Okay. Or let's say you kept a little bit more personal. Like I have studio in mind, but actually I would want to be fast and good, right? Like that's your personal goal. Then the answer should be obvious what you should be doing. And in this example, for instance, like when you're talking about, let's say you want to be fast, right? Or actually, let's say you want to work at the set studio. We'll start with that. And speed is not as important. Like you can't be slow, right? You can't take 7 years to do one painting, right? But like, doing a couple characters a month is a pace that they typically tend to do. I can do that now. All right, so I just need to focus on quality then. So the speed painting stuff is nonsense. I don't need to worry about that. Just focus entirely on quality. Does this make sense to you? If you are saying I want to get speed, then of course you're going to have to practice more of the gestural stuff because that's what matters, as well as the strokes, because that's part of it too. Because if you make good marks all the time, then that means that you will be fast or faster. So that is also of value. Make sense? And so for me, when it comes to this type of thinking of like what you ought to do versus what you need to do, like that's how I like to think about it. And so in terms of the pace of it, right? Because you might think, okay, now I've decided I'm going to do both. I've already made that claim. So which is more important, or which one should I do first? That's kind of the thing. They're both important. It doesn't matter which one you do first. Okay. You just start. And then once you start doing that and you feel like you got a foothold, you jump onto the other one. And when you start feeling you got a foothold in that one, you jump back to the previous one or something else, right? But it's like it's a revolving door situation, you know? You're never going to be in a position where you're like, now I have fully mastered gestures. It is time to move on to said thing. Because sometimes context matters. Remember that like example I did with that like web chart? You know?
Mm-hmm.
I like to use that because sometimes when you do your gestures, you know, you will also incidentally learn about making good marks. Does that make sense? Like they might not be mutually exclusive, and vice versa. And or you'll learn some things that are helpful from gesture that will make it easier to digest the other approach, because you can adopt certain philosophies and ideologies from that method. You know, I can speak to some examples, like for instance, doing stuff that is more gestural. What I like about that process, like when you would do like 10-second, 30-second gesture drawings at like life drawing, is the timing aspect of it, right? Like the time under tension feeling of it, you know? And how I just thought more efficiently. And whenever I gave myself more time, for whatever reason, I was making more mistakes, right? But when I was given limited amount of time, I felt way more in control of the situation, which I always thought was funny, which obviously inspired me to use timers just in general, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But that fueled that, right? And then finished works, like why I imply that is because it's just true. People like finished looking artwork, right? And I remember like there was a lot of people really pissed off with like ArtStation. I mean, when are they not pissed off? But there was a time where they were really pissed off because ArtStation seemed to cater only to the hyper realistic and super sci-fi and fantasy aesthetic, right? And there wasn't much of anything else on their like trending pages. I mean, still kind of true, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I know Leo, the creator and owner of ArtStation. And we talked about this, and he's because I kind of had a suspicion that it was kind of effed up, because I was like, hey, you know, because he was asking me some feedback for the website, and I said, like, I know you probably have an algorithm that is completely fair on the surface. It just doesn't seem fair. That's kind of like a complaint that I see a lot of people have. Maybe what you can do is just highlight or do categories, right? So that people can go to the specific categories and find the kind of artwork they're looking for, you know? And he was like, absolutely. We're actually already working on that. I think it's implemented now. But he was telling me, he's like, you know, but it's funny that you say that, is because it is completely fair. We don't do anything. We don't cater at all. We don't curate at all. You know? He's like, well, yeah, we have our editor's pick, but that's it. But that's editor's picks is a thing. And I think they removed editor picks because people, again, felt like it was curated, right? And he's like, it's very bizarre because what ends up happening is just these artworks that people saying that we curate are just, they just happen to be the most popular art. Like people tend to click on these things a lot more, and it becomes its own. It's like what happened with Beeple. You guys know about Beeple and the NFT stuff? Like I'm sure you guys have. We talked about it before. It's crazy. He just sold one of his paintings for $69 million, right?
Yeah,
Amazing.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Super amazing. There's a video of him too when he's watching that. It's super wholesome.
Yeah,
Dude
I saw that
deserves it.
video.
Dude deserves it. He's a great guy. Great inspiration to many artists, including myself. You know, it's funny because he followed me before I followed him. And I'm like, you are clearly better than me. Like, I don't even know why this is a thing. But anyway, Really, really nice guy. I'm happy for him. I can't believe it. Super awesome. But like once his first painting sold for a few million, right? Which was already kind of crazy. Then it's an exponential thing. Then it became even more popular, right? Now it's like super, super awesome. I was telling my friend about this too, because we were talking about it. It's like, it's crazy. Like, how does it keep going up in value? You know? And I said, because it already established it has value. You know? And as time goes on, it just increases in value. There's a psychology to this too. I forget the name of this, but it's like a tribal thing where like let's say you have like a poll and you voted on option 3 out of the 3 options, and it's the lowest voted on. Let's say it's like 10% of people voted for that one, and then the other ones took more of a percentage. People are more likely, if they're allowed to change their vote, will change their vote. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And it's because they want to be part of they want to agree with the larger sentiment,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's completely anonymous and nobody gives a fuck. They'll still do it. And that's kind of what happens with art too. It's like people will start to expand their popularity as time goes on. Like if someone who's already established becomes even more established, it's like exponential. Okay. Until eventually they reach the higher echelon where haters start to come out from the woodwoods and start to say, fuck that person. Right? Like it's going to happen with people, I promise you. Even though it'll be unjust. Unless there's like some real evidence of his assholery, I doubt it. But let's just say there was. It would have to be really bad. And so that was like that quality thing was like a thing for me, right? And so not only did I focus on speed, I always focus on quality because that is a thing that's just true. High quality images, especially mostly finished and rendered stuff, just do better in a lot of categories, And so this is why I encourage my students to push their work to have a higher quality, not only just for their own sake of learning, but it's if you have high quality images, it will do well in multiple facets, right? You have to be careful of your own personal interests getting in the way, meaning that like because you aren't as good as you were hoping to be, you start to seek out art that is somewhere within your grasp, right? And you basically are trying to look for confirmation bias. Say, look, there is stylized artists that do well, right? Ignoring the fact that the ones who do the most successful are the high quality images, And I will say, with this being considered, stylized artwork, in my opinion, can still have high quality. Okay, so don't get this confused. Like I'm talking about like the super loose, like half finished looking stuff that people get really like all hot and bothered about, I'm saying now be careful to make that the standard of your work, especially when you're first starting out. You want to kind of hit a high quality bar first and then start to decide to deviate from that. And usually if you come from that position, like when you can already kind of pump out high quality images, and then you decide to go more stylistic or more loose, if you will, usually those loose images are a high quality, And so those are like the kinds of things that I would want you to kind of think about when you're considering these types of questions too, which is like, how should I go about this and that, you should just pick a thing and just kind of stick with it. Like I just brought up my game stuff, like, and it's a great example because it's because I pivoted already twice, or sorry, 2 times. it's like I had to start over every single time. It's clearly a bad strategy if you keep doing that too often, you know? So you should stay like, hey, if you want to get faster, then you should stay focused on being faster for a little bit until you feel like you've gotten faster. And then you can pivot after the fact, not during the learning process. Anyway, ranted enough. What was the next question? What was the question in the chat? Can somebody read it, or the person who said it? Can you say it out loud?
Yeah, sure. It was me.
Go
Basically, I was just asking. I saw that the next term of classes had sold out. I kind of missed that by accident, but I was wondering when the next lot after that would be.
Probably in April or May. I'm gonna probably set it up this week.
Cool.
But we'll see, because I also am expecting a little baby.
Yeah, of course.
I might only have one class because of that. I can't imagine doing 2 classes in a little dude. Like, I need that time to be around. So just keep an eye out for that. And I already have my classes that I've already preordained. So we'll see if it's actually in April or May, because I might move a lot of that class, you know?
Yeah.
As a result of the newborn. But we'll see. But I will have more classes.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, now also, I was just going to ask quickly. I noticed when I was drawing grayscale, my monitor was not the best calibrated, and it's not got a good contrast ratio, etc. So I was double guessing myself. So, what kind of monitor and setup do you use to kind of, just keep it all colors calibrated and not get strain on your fingers, all of that?
I don't have any calibration at all to my monitor. I just use a regular Samsung, I think the 32-inch wide curved screen. That's it. I don't got anything fancy.
Perfect.
I never have, and I never will. It's funny because whenever I talk to people who want to sponsor me, like laptop studios or companies, I mean, they're always like, this is like XRG X2W, like they go through like all these measurements of how awesome the color calibration is, and I'm just kind of like, does it have color at all? It does. That's all I need. I used to use Dell monitors. Those were great. All that really, really is something I care about is if my first and second monitor are matching. That's all that matters. But that's it. I don't have any special thing. Sorry.
Yeah, it makes sense, because everyone is going to look at it on monitors that are just like yours. I guess,
man. Absolutely.
I sort of noticed. Yeah, sorry. I noticed my stuff's a lot darker on other monitors, so that's kind of what I was getting worried.
Yeah, I think that like even my laptop that I have is not going to be as powerful as my computer, but I'm still using I'm going to be still using my laptop a lot. In fact, I debated getting a new computer for longest, because I was just kind of like, I don't want to lose like the connection to a lower tier machine. By no means is my laptop a lower tier, like a super low tier, but it's getting there, especially in a couple more years, right? And I love it a lot. And I was thinking about getting another laptop, but I was thinking, no, I should have like a super powerful machine because of certain things like the 3D renders that I'm trying to get out. Like rendering stuff is a cool thing to be able to do, you know. I'll have access to new types of artwork, essentially, you know, other than painting. Otherwise, I don't need anything more than what I got right now. Even for my 2D game I'm making, I'm like, I honestly only need my laptop and I don't even need my laptop, probably. Just need access to the internet. I could probably do it all on my iPad if I challenged it. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense.
Keep connected with the common folk. Kimberly.
I did have a question regarding something you said earlier.
Mhm.
What makes, you said that lines are better for ideas. So what makes them better for ideas? And what kind of line art were you talking about?
Yeah, I can show you in just a second. It's not that they're better, they're faster. It's probably a better way of thinking about it. I'm misrepresented. Yeah. This is kind of what I mean. So I was like doing this kind of cool bird Goliath character. That's rad. Yeah. It'd be faster if I just drew it. You know, and then just design around it. And right now, I'm going pretty fast. But I can do another one. And then from here, what I can try to do is cleaner line art after I've gotten these kind of sorted out. This is what I mean. Does this make sense? Because I can paint these too. It'll take me a little bit longer. You know, ironically, not crazy amounts of time, but just enough, you know, that it's debatable in terms of its speed compared to just straight up just drawing simple line art. I mean, again, these are like sketches, but even if I spent time to draw a more refined sketch, that's still faster. But that's only if I just want to get an idea, not like a full rendered concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then, so then you would just do your normal painting on top of those ideas?
Yeah. But again, it depends on the purpose of what these are supposed to be. If they're supposed to be for just idea generation, then I do this. I even do this for my own projects. I do like a lot of just quick drawings, like in a sketchbook or something. Because I'm not trying to paint or get colors, or I'm just trying to see what it could be, you know? And be like, oh, that's pretty rad. That could be cool. You know? Instead of full on paintings. But that line is getting thinner and thinner, you know? So when I do line art, it really is a matter of just like, it really is just a matter of super, super rough. And I don't care to know the details. All right, I just want to know the overall vision. Okay.
Yeah,
Does that
it
help?
makes sense. Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes artists forget ideas can even just be written. You don't even have to draw, right? So that's kind of why I think line art can be faster for drawing or for idea generation. Dude, this might not be a bad style for my project. Just thought about it. Because it'll allow me to be looser in terms of, let me save this. Let's call it lit dev.
Got another question if nobody else has one?
Is it okay if I go ahead?
That was my stipulation. If you have one, you go.
All right. Thank you. So Anthony, you were talking about like just try out digital painting. So I like before I started my project, I did a few studies. So and I did a few right now, and I actually like I was watching a few of your like speed paint videos, and I was just like looking at your process, and I was looking at your process like right now as well. So like I kind of tried like the round brush sort of like expressionist sort of thing. So do I like share my screen or take a screenshot?
Oh, do you have? Yeah, take a screenshot. It'll be easier.
All right. Right. Sure.
Yeah, I think I was overly detailed because I did this in Procreate, and Procreate just makes me feel like I have to draw better because I have so much more control. But there might not be a need for it. Like simplifying.
Yeah, I think I sent it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like talking to myself too.
It's
Let's get a
all right.
lower resolution too. Yeah, it might be more badass to keep it looser. It'll be more artistic too, you know. Anyway, who knows? I'll have to do some more R&D. Okay, yeah, I'm taking a look at it right now. So this is something during the class, right? Cool. Great use of your time. Now, here's a challenge. Try to paint something without looking at any reference of any sort.
Right.
No, like this is not a slight. I'm trying to teach you how to teach yourself. So you got to be.
I was kidding.
Yeah. Okay. If you're getting nervous, then that's a good sign that you need to do it.
Yeah.
Because what tends to happen, and you have to be very careful of this, is that you feel really confident with something like that, perhaps, right? Like, oh, this isn't too bad. Like this is, I guess what Adrian was saying. I'm feeling good, but then when you go to apply it to your own character, I think one of those students was mentioning this too. It's like whenever I like look at ref, it's so good, but then once I start to actually try my life, you know, the reason why is because you're training two different skills. One skill, if you're doing what that is you're training your observational skills and you're training your tool manipulation, meaning you're learning how to move pixels around effectively, right?
Yeah.
And then your observational skills, meaning that you can look at what you're referencing and you can kind of put the puzzle pieces together correctly. And you should see it as like you're putting together a puzzle, not so much learning how to paint a face. Okay. That's what you painted, but that's not what you've learned. Make sense?
Yep.
And once you do a painting without reference, this should be very clear to you what that was. And what you do after with this information is to understand why. Why was it that you only learned one thing versus another, and then adapt. A test isn't to make you feel embarrassed and stupid, okay? A test is supposed to show you or reveal to you where you're at.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I think that, especially in Western cultures and society, we have kind of taught young people and most people in general that if you fail a test, that you're an idiot. Okay? Like this is just kind of in our bones. This is how we think about testing. right? When you're in grade school and like you get like a C on your test, your buddy gets a B or A, you know, you feel embarrassed. You feel stupid, right?
Yeah.
Versus, no, not you aren't as educated, you aren't as skilled, or you aren't as informed as your friend was when it comes to that subject. To fix this, you need to study, you need to acquire that skill, right? And take the test again to quantify your growth. If you had a 65%, that's like a D, let's say, but the next time you get a 70%, although it's still pretty, or like let's say 68%, although it's still a D, right? You got better. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when you do these tests, you should time them so that you can see how fast, or I'm sorry, quantifiably see how much better you've gotten. Because if you don't time them, it's going to be harder to tell. Like if you time them, you do an hour-long test, and after an hour, you get a certain result you don't like. You do studies and you practice, and you do another hour test, and now you're like, oh, but I've gotten a lot better. I got a lot faster, or I've improved in X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you can see what you've improved on, what helped you out, what you studied, how you studied it, and replicate that. You know, you will start to have more faith in your studying too, because you'll be like, it worked. I just got to do it again, you know, or it didn't work. Let me try something different, you know, but you keep moving forward. That's the real trick here. And you don't get easily discouraged.
Yeah.
At first you will, because this is probably all new to you, but eventually you'll feel more and more confident as you do it. I promise you.
I'm just doing another study right now. So once I'm done with it, can I like send it again? Like the new one?
Yeah. Are you doing a test or a study?
I'm doing a test, like you said right now, just do it from memory, do it from like what you've learned.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Share it. Absolutely. Share it with your peers too. Get some feedback. That's another thing that people forget. Talk to other people.
Yeah, everyone's really helpful.
Yeah, that's like yeah, I'm great. I'm a great resource for you guys, absolutely. But I learned a lot by hanging out with good friends, you know, and giving me tons of feedback. So anyway, cool. One last question.
Can I ask you to give maybe some feedback on the feedback you gave to me? So because I just went painting again on my concept, and I tried to apply.
See what you got.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone else had a question while that's happening. Maybe I can answer it while I'm waiting.
I got a quick one. So I just noticed on your website there's still one more locked content. Is that supposed to be unlocked soon, or?
Oh yeah, I gotta unlock it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll ping you guys when it's done.
Gotcha.
Thanks for reminding me. I have to make one more piece of video content for you guys, and then you guys should be good to go. Yeah, that's great. The only criticism that I have, Tim, is that it's a little too uniform.
Okay.
Right. You're more like cross hatching, right? Versus like I told you, like the controlled scribble.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
This is important for you to understand. Now, if you're trying to go for like a material that's like this, then that's actually fine. Okay. But if you're just trying to add detail, but you don't really have a very clear idea of what your materials are, then this is not deliberate, you know?
Okay.
So for instance, if I'm trying to create, if you look at this character I got in front of me, okay?
Yeah.
If I'm trying to say that he's got like a weaved fabric, I'm going to be very clear that this is a weaved fabric. You know, I'm gonna paint it as if it was. All right. And it's like every part of it should be very clear. Weaved. You know, so when you look at it from afar, you're like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But if I want it to feel like if I want it to feel just like noisy and like there's like just it could be a weave fabric, but I don't really want it to feel that way. I want it to feel just like it's tethered and like tethered in some spots. Right? I'm trying to find a good spot. Yeah, we can probably just stick with here. Then I'm going to do the controlled scribble, but I'm going to be like, this is the direction my scribble's going. And then I'm going to, you see like, I do like this loop-de-loop, but then I come back and then I looped it and I zigzag inside of it. Like I go that direction, I go this, like go in ways that are not perspective driven, but it is still guided.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So then from even without me manipulating it any further, it feels like scratches and cuts organically. But once I've put it in there, then I correct it by like eliminating some parts of the scribble. But the parts that remain, I can indent by adding a little bit of a shadow and a little bit of cuts. Pop out the highlights even on some parts of it, like based off of where the lighting's coming from. You know, and then that just makes it feel more intentional.
Yeah. Okay. That makes it very clear.
Yeah. But you can go more like really like guided too. That's totally a way. You just got to be clear that that's what you're doing too. And
okay.
The same way that I did my scribbles, like I would go in here and add shadows to these too, so that people know. And I won't add shadow to every single one because it will feel too uniformed. Right? I'll just do it to a select few to kind of help offset that aesthetic.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's looking good.
Thank you.
All right. I got to go. You guys have a great rest of your week. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Keep up the good work. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for class.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you like the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.